tribal trails. The Son of God, He's near. He chose to walk with us these tribal trails.
Hi, it's good to meet with you on Travel Trails. Our guests today are Bert and Liz Genaille from Nipawin, Saskatchewan. The topic of their conversation is total surrender. First, Bert compares his walk with God to the prophet's experience in a vision. In Ezekiel 47, the prophet saw water flowing out through the east gate from the temple. A man with a measuring line in his hand took Ezekiel along the stream for 1,750 feet, and then led him across. The water was up to his ankles. The man measured off another 1,750 feet and led him across again. This time, the water was up to his knees. After another 1,750 feet, it was up to his waist. Then he measured another 1,750 feet, and the water was too deep to walk across. He had to swim.
And I kind of liken that in my walk with the Lord. You know, maybe the first 5 years I was ankle-deep Christian. The next 5 years I was a knee-deep Christian. And then the next 5 years I was a waist-deep Christian. Even through this walk, crossing this river, I'm still in control because I could still reach the bottom. The last time they crossed the river, they were over their heads and they had to swim. And I liken to that we are no longer in control anymore. Somebody else has to be in control, and I think that Spirit of the living God has to have all of us. We can't be an ankle-deep Christian or else a knee-deep Christian or a waist-deep Christian. We need to be overflowed by the Spirit of the living God. I remember coming to know the Lord when I was 27 years old. And when I was 54 years old, I was already missionary for 5 years. I came to a place of surrendering it all to God, say, God, I can't do this on my own no more.
He let me try my wings because I asked him to, knowing all the time I couldn't fly. He gave my feet the liberty, he let me walk away. And all the time I never asked him why. But now I'm beginning to understand. He bought my life and he already had it planned. Oh, foolish me, I could not see, sin had my vision dim. He let me go just so I would know that I couldn't make it without him.
In Matthew chapter 10, verse 32, Jesus said, "Therefore, whoever confesses me before men, him I will also confess before my Father who is in heaven." Bert got saved in June 1975, but he didn't tell anybody about that for almost a year. He explains why.
It was more afraid, maybe ashamed. I didn't know what a Christian was. I was scared to be made fun of because I remember the guys used to tell me, they used to tease me like, you don't come to the parties with us no more, and you don't drink with us, and you don't like us no more, you think you're better than us and all that stuff. They'd say all kinds of stuff. But after I came to know the Lord, and after I started to confess with my mouth to follow the Lord, but I remember they had elections there. They had and they voted for a mayor and a council. And I ran for council. And then what happened was, I was the guy that got the second highest votes. I got in as a councillor. And as I looked at that, I said, the people can say all they want with their mouth, but when it came to the secret ballot, they knew who they wanted. So that told me something about the people there, that they liked what they saw. So I thank God, that in some ways through this all, that He kind of shows us that, that we are accepted in people. And I thank the Lord that Liz was faithful in her walk, because I saw something that was different. I saw something that was real, and that's what I wanted, and that's what drew me to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Do everything without grumbling or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure children of God without fault in a warped and crooked generation. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky as you hold firmly to the word of life.
Liz, you wanted to share about how you got into ministry when you were saved?
Oh, at that time, Mr. McComb and Dennis Anderson used to come every week to come and disciple us. And that was a wonderful time. Mm-hmm. And then, but after that, when we started having our Sunday school, and first there was only Bert and I and our 3 children. And then soon there was 3 other kids. And soon there was more that came. And I only taught what I knew. Oh, I never went to Bible school or anything. I just read my Bible and I taught what I learned from the Bible. And I sang these choruses with the kids. And I had them memorize Bible verses from the Bible.
All Scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness, so that the servant of God may be thoroughly equipped for every good work.
God sent some NCM missionaries to come and help us, and soon we got a building, and we dedicated that building on March 10th, 1984. And yet there was just a little body of believers. Little body of believers started coming, and people started getting interested, I guess, few here and there. And they came to know the Lord. And we got into a taxi business, I guess, and we had that for a while. And Bert bought us a new trailer, and that was really good. First time I ever had running water and inside toilet. It was good. And after that, when we had our taxi business and we moved into our new trailer, I started having a hard time with my walk with the Lord. Things started coming into my life, and it was really hard for me. I almost walked out on my husband. At that time, God sent a godly woman to my house, and she came and talked to me. She was God sent her there. And I got right with God and gave my life back to the Lord. And I never got into deep sin, but it was just things inside my heart that shouldn't be there.
He let me choose my footsteps down the road of life, and further from His care my feet have trod. The easy way was bright and gay, without a cross to bear. But my road took me far away from God. But now I'm beginning to understand. He but my life he already had it planned. Oh, foolish me, I could not see, sin had my vision dim. He let me go just so I would know that I couldn't make it without him.
When did you guys start singing?
Liz was singing since she was 10 years old. I guess after we got married, actually, we had a guitar, also a board guitar. And I tell people, Liz taught me 3 chords and a lick. So I learned how to chord, and I don't think we used to sing together. We just used to kind of just sing along. But after we came to know the Lord, I remember one time I was singing in the house and used to have a Bible study every week. And this Cliff McComb came early and he heard me and Liz sing. And he said something like, I want you to sing at church. And so that's how it all began. I think it was Fred Evans asked us, he said, you want to sing in the big church there in the Pot Alliance Church? And I kind of said, yeah, okay. I talked to Lee Reason. And so they gave us a date to go and sing there on a Sunday morning. It was a couple of weeks away, and we went there, and I was kind of nervous and about the whole thing, and we went in there, and of course they give us a bulletin, and I saw our names in there, and I felt like running away. But anyways, that's how it got first started, and then after a while, other churches started to ask us to come, and I guess one of the things too was tribal trails. I remember they were trying to start tribal trails in the early '80s there, and Derek Hiscox was at the Living Water place there, just south of town here by Duck Lake. And I remember we were there, and Derek came up to us and asked us, he said, we're trying to start a TV program. Would you guys help? He said, giving a testimony and maybe sing a few songs. And I said, not thinking this thing is going to happen or might be happening way down the road sometimes. I said, yeah, sure, I'll help, And then, it didn't take long, within a year or something like that.
After that, Bert and I, we started to think about somewhere to go to Bible school, I guess, eh? So he applied for Nipawin Bible College, and that's where he went for a year and a half. We sold our taxi business and packed our things, and we moved to Nipawin for a year and a half. After school was done, we were wondering about going full-time in a mission somewhere. And we tried NCM, but it didn't work out. So we applied Continental Mission in Thompson, Manitoba, and got accepted. So off we went to Thompson with only $300 promise support to live on. And we were wondering where we were going to be living, and we had our 2 little boys with us. Anyway, we started looking for a house and went to this agency to ask for a place, if we can rent a place, and she said she didn't have any because there was so many people ahead of us, and then anyway we told her that we we needed a place by August because the kids had to go to school. And she said, "Oh, just a minute." She said, "I'll look at this." She said, and he said, "I'll have one ready in August." So at that time, we got a three-bedroom house to live in, and so we ministered in Thompson for 5 years, and then we moved to Lynn Lake, Manitoba for 1 year, and for me that was a lonely life for me because I didn't know anybody there. I was lonesome over there. Then we went back to our hometown of Cormorant, back again, where Bert was half-time pastor. For 3 years we stayed in Cormorant. In 2004 again, we sold all our furniture and we moved to Regina, Saskatchewan. And we worked with Canadian Revival Fellowship, and we traveled to many places, into the USA and other places. I never dreamt I would go.
These are the days of Elijah, declaring the word of the Lord. These are the days of your servant Moses, righteousness being restored. Though these are the days of great trials, famine and darkness and sword, we are the voice in the desert crying, prepare ye the way of the Lord. Behold, he comes, riding on the clouds, shining like the sun. At the trumpet call, lift your voice, it's a year of jubilee, and out of Zion's hill salvation comes.
Whom would the Lord use to serve for his greater purpose? Let's listen to the words of the Apostle Paul to Timothy. He said, "The Lord knows those who are his, and let everyone who names the name of Christ depart from iniquity. But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and clay, some for honor and some for dishonor. Therefore, if anyone cleanses himself from the latter, he will be a vessel for honor, sanctified and useful for the master, prepared for every good work." So, how is your walk with God today? If you want to talk to somebody about it, call us. Your fellowship means a lot to us. When we return to Bert, he shares how God dealt with the issue in his heart.
I mean, just like Liz said, she had a child before we were married from a different relationship. It was someone from Ontario and was working up in the miner in northern Manitoba. And that's where Liz met this man, and of course she had our oldest daughter. And so, after we got married 3 years after that, and I said I'd look after her, and the best of my ability, I did just that. And like I said before, it wasn't without its struggles. There was always this, I guess you could call it exactly what it is. There was this jealousy, between me and Liz, will this ever happen again? Is she unfaithful to me and all that stuff, About 10 years ago, our daughter went to find out about her biological father in Ontario and did find them. And of course, and she brought back a picture. And this picture she wanted me to look at, and I just kind of was, I said, I don't want to look at it. And I said, show it to your mother. And I guess I was kind of hurt about the whole thing, but yet I understood my daughter, what she was doing, because anybody would want to find out about their past and all that, and find out about what it was like and all that. I don't blame her for that. But anyways, and about 10 minutes or so passed her, and finally, after thinking about it, I said, you know, Joyce, I said, I'll look at the picture. And as I looked at the picture, I could see the features in this man's face and my daughter's face, Joyce, and I could see a resemblance. And I made up a story in my mind. This man did something what any normal guy that does not know the Lord, this is what he did. What I would probably did. He went and found an Indian princess, and he found one, but things didn't work out. Even though this guy has died over 40 years ago, back then, I forgave him as if that I met him, forgave him, and all that. And I mean, it was good to do that.
I want God's way to be my way as I journey here below. For there is no other pathway that a child of God should go. Though the way may be dark and rough, if He leads me, that's enough. I want God's way to be my way every day.
Then in 2008, we were thinking about settling down somewhere, so we both thought about Nipawin at that time, right? So we went looking for a house to buy, and we bought a house, and so we moved to Nipawin on August 2008. We were planning on working from there, you know, just to go out on outreach ministry. And that's what we like doing, because we like going out different places and traveling and telling about what God has done for us.
So Bert, you've been involved with ministry quite a lot of years now, and I understand you went to South Africa.
Yeah, I went to South Africa, I think it was 2007. Yeah, when it was the Canadian Revival Fellowship asked if I wanted to go, and I said, yeah, I'd like to go, but you know, it cost lots of money to go. So anyways, he said, well, we'll see if you can make it. I remember telling a few people about it. I was in Manitoba. It was in the spring of the year. We went in August, and I remember this one lady gave Liz a check and said, this is for Bert's trip to South Africa. And so I looked at it later on. Here she gave us $1,000. And I said, I guess I am going to South Africa. So I went. Liz didn't go, she stayed home. I went over there flying from Toronto to London across there. That was a 7-hour flight. And then from London to Johannesburg, going straight down is a 10-hour flight. Being in South Africa, we went to a jail there in a place called Zeerust. I remember ministering there, and the warden, what he did was he said, no phone calls, he said, for 2 hours. He said, these guys come to a minister, everybody come to the, where we ministered outside there, and even the workers and everybody came. And so that was, that was quite a thing to see, and, you know, and of course there were quite a few responses. And there was another place, I think it was out of Zeerust. I went out to these farms, you know, and I think these farmers, they would pitch up the big tents for the people, the workers, where they had probably meals and where they had, and we could preach in there. I remember this one place I went there, and and I preached in there. And I remember, you know, you're going to, it was evening, and there was only one little bulb in the whole place. I remember flying over there, and I'm thinking, what's this little Indian boy from northern Manitoba doing over here? You know, God is such a great God that, you know, and He would give you the desires of your heart and even more, even more. I mean, if I would have, I mean, Liz talked about our taxi business that we had. Even if I had the taxi business and made all the money and had our month holiday every year and all that stuff, we would never amount to what we are experiencing now, being a missionary now for the last 20 years. Thank God for this.
Yes, there is no better way to conclude our program than the way to proclaim the mercy and power of God. The psalmist said, "O God, you have taught me from my youth, and to this day I declare your wondrous works. Now also when I am old and gray-headed, O God, do not forsake me, until I declare your strength to this generation, your power to everyone who is to come. Also, your righteousness, O God, is very high. You who have done great things, O God, who is like you." As our guest said earlier, God is good and faithful. I believe by now some of you want to know what God has in store for you. Feel free to call Travel Trails. We're excited to share with you God's plan of salvation through Jesus Christ.
Out of Zion's hill salvation comes. These are the days of Ezekiel, the dry bones becoming a flesh. And these are the days of your servant David, rebuilding the temple of praise. And these are the days of the harvest. The fields are as white in the world, and we are the laborers in your vineyard, declaring the word of the Lord. Behold, He comes, riding on the clouds, shining like the sun. At the trumpet call, so lift your voice. It's the year of Jubilee, and out of Zion's hill salvation comes. There's no God like Jehovah. 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 There's no God like Jehovah.